I just finished analyzing 48 of my YouTube videos that I published over the previous 8 months. And in this video, I want to share with you everything that I've learned and the changes that I'll be making on YouTube moving forward. Now, this is going to be the data, and I'm going to cover all of this in a moment. As you can see here, we have graphs and a Google Sheet and all this stuff. But before I do, let me kind of break down what this video is going to be about and kind of organize this a little bit more for you. So first of all, why YouTube in the first place? Why do I even care about YouTube? Why should you care about YouTube, and why did I just spend all this time not only reviewing this data, but also all the time it took me to film all those videos previously? I'm also going to be walking through the only 2 ways that you can optimize your videos. People get so overwhelmed when they're thinking about, how do I start a video? What kind of content should I create? You know, how should I set it up? But as a business owner, there's only 2 things that you should really care about. I'm going to cover them in this video. I'm also going to talk about how I prioritize the videos. So a lot of people on YouTube, content creators, they are content creators trying to make money, and myself and my clients, we are business owners trying to use content to make more money or to generate more business. So I don't optimize for views and subscribers. I optimize for a few different things that I'm going to walk through here. I'm also going to go through that data, that sheet that I just showed you one moment ago. I'm going to walk through this step by step and kind of show you how I compiled all this together and what the data looks like. And then I'm going to show you what the decisions I made from this data. So what did I learn? I imported all this data into ChatGPT and I looked at what I prioritized, and I figured out, okay, this is what I'm going to do moving forward on YouTube. And then the final thing I'm going to show you is a great question I get all the time from my clients or when I'm on podcasts is, do lead magnets, like when you make calls to actions in videos, when you say, hey, if you loved all this stuff and you want to work with me, go down below and book a time to speak with me. Do they affect video performance? Does it hurt your ability to generate views on your YouTube video? And the answer may actually surprise you. So first of all, if you're new to this channel, who is this guy in the first place? My name is Ravi Abuvala. Quite frankly, I am the systems guy. My company's name is Scaling with Systems. I have it on my mug right here. And I'll tell you what, you cannot just make mugs anywhere with that name on there, okay? It has to be legitimate. So I'm the systems guy. I have systems for every single thing in my life, from how I spend time with my girlfriend, how I take care of my family, to my business, our company, et cetera, et cetera. So everything I do, I try to build a system around so I don't have to ever do it again. I scaled my first company, which was an advertising agency, to around $200,000 a month in 18 months. And then I did the whole 4-hour work week thing. I removed myself totally from my business, as I thought that was what a business was there for, is just to make you money so you can go do other stuff. And I did that for a few months, lived in South America, lived in Europe, went all around the United States. After a while, I ended up hating it. I realized that for me, that's actually not what business was for. I actually like just playing the game of business, but I did only like working on the specific things that I liked working on, for example, marketing or creating YouTube videos. And so what I wanted to do instead was figure out a way that I could build a business around the things that I love to do and just systemize, automate, delegate the stuff that I didn't love to do. So that was how I created Scaling with Systems. We scaled from $0 to $25 million in 48 months, serving over 2,000 businesses. And then after I did it with one company using systems to scale it, then the second company uses systems to scale it, I was like, you know what, let me see if I can kind of take this same system, same principles, and what if I could go into another company that is totally not in the same industry, it's not the same business model, et cetera, et cetera. And so I took on my first portfolio company about a year ago, and we took it from $0 to $5 million in sales in 9 months with only 4 employees. So this stuff works that I'm talking about here. And my mission in life is to help you build a business that serves you instead of you serving it, which is where I feel a lot of people find themselves today. So why YouTube? Why should we even care about YouTube? You know, why should you as a business owner be looking at YouTube if you're trying to grow and scale your business? Well, it's no secret that I've been pretty bullish on YouTube for the past 4 years. I have over 82,000 subscribers on there, and I have 1,100 videos on there. 1,100 videos on my YouTube. So when you guys are like, oh, this person's a YouTube expert, look how many YouTube videos that they've published, right? And a lot of people talk about, even on my videos, why don't your videos get more views? Are you shadow banned? I'm going to talk about why I don't really care about views or subscribers here in a moment. But I have been very bullish on YouTube for a very long time, and it's incredibly powerful for our company. This is actually a breakdown of April, the deals that came in. I'm going to break down our first and last source, where deals came from. So for the first source, meaning that the first time that this person ever hit our brand, our website, our sales pages, anything, 19% of the time, it came from YouTube as the first source. Okay, so almost 20% of the time, 1 out of 5 people, the first time they ever heard of this company was through YouTube. And then the last source, this is actually when somebody has consumed my content. They found me on maybe YouTube. They started on YouTube. Maybe they started on an ad. Maybe they started on a podcast somewhere else. But the last thing they did before they became a client of ours, 23% of those people came from YouTube. So about 1 in every 4, the last thing they did before they paid us money was they watched a YouTube video. So you can see how powerful this is. And this is just the stuff that we can track, which we're huge data tracking companies. And I'm going to you'll see that as I walk through this. This is only the stuff that I can track. So I know for a fact it's greater than these numbers, because we also ask people on sales calls and on onboarding forums, where did you first find us, or what convinced you to move forward with us? And it's YouTube over 50% of the time, right? So it's incredibly potent, and we generate millions and millions of dollars a year. So it's safe to say that YouTube generates us millions and millions of dollars as well. And the other reason I love YouTube, quite frankly, is because as far as I know, it is the only marketing channel where you're literally getting paid to market. So you can see down here, estimated revenue in the last 28 days, we've made right around $3,200 on YouTube. So, I'm getting paid to go out and make these videos where people come and work with me and pay me more money, right? So that's why we're all very, very bullish on YouTube. Now, the question that I hear all the time is like, okay, I'm a business owner, and what type of videos should I be creating, right? What type of videos should I do? There's all these different types, topics, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the way that I see it, there's really only 2 types of videos, or 2 variables that you can optimize for as a business owner. Okay, I can't stress this enough. As a business owner, if you're watching this and you're a content creator and you're not a business owner first, then this is not going to relate to you. But if you are a business owner trying to make more money from your business, then this is going to be very, very relatable. So the 2 ways are through topic, what you're talking about, and delivery, how you are delivering what you're talking about, okay? So topics for business owners, this is gonna be typically stuff around your business. So for me, we have a brand strategy blueprint. This is actually something we do with all of our clients, and we decide what are all the things that we're only gonna talk about in our content or on our brand. So for me, it's lead generation, systemization tips, automation, marketing strategy, branding strategy, sales process strategy, operations, which includes hiring, firing, comp plans, organizational charts, and then just overall everything that you kind of need to know about building an 8-figure business. The reason these are my content pillars is because this is what we help our clients with, and this is the stuff that I'm going through myself. For example, I did this analysis that I'm going to share with you guys in a moment because I wanted to do it for our media team so we can make decisions. And it just so happens that it's also what my clients want to know and my prospects want to know as well. So it kind of works out that way. So this is the topics that we're talking about here. And if you just were to look at my YouTube, these are the last 9 videos that I published. Talk about systems right here. This is a case study, productize our services, automations, how I helped Ali Abdal make an extra $5 million a year, or how I showed him how he could, how to double profitability, how we produce content, how we scale, how we increased our close rate. So all the types of content that I'm creating all follow this brand strategy / content pillars that are the topics I'm discussing here. So that's one thing that you can adjust, is the type of content that you create. And the second thing is how you're delivering that content in the first place. So for me, the only few ways that I've learned, I've created over 1,000 YouTube videos, but tens of thousands of pieces of content across all my platforms, is repurpose, which means that I did this style of content somewhere else. Let's say I spoke in a mastermind, I spoke on a podcast, something like that. A Google Doc. So some of you, if you've been to my channel before, you'll see sometimes I create long form Google Docs and I read off that Google Doc. Slides, like this presentation here. Talking head, which would just be me talking to the camera with maybe some visuals, some graphics in the background. And then screen shares and demonstrations. And that's where I'm going to be like showing that Google Sheet, or I show how to use a certain software, or I show different graphics, something along those lines there, okay? And so I'll just kind of break this down more in depth for you. So the top left one, that was the one with me and Ali Abdal, where I had a kind of almost like a consultation with him. He came to my mastermind in Paris. And so that's a repurposed one. So that was actually from his podcast. I put it on my YouTube channel. It was only a 9-minute clip from what was like an hour and a half podcast. Then on the right-hand side, you can see top right, that's slides. So those are just like this here, me walking through slide by slide. That was my most recent video I created. And then below that one is appointment setters. This is the Google Doc thing. So I'm actually walking through the Google Doc and I'm reading off line by line the different things that are inside there. there. Then you have kind of demonstration side of things, like drawing / demonstration. That's going to be this top left hand. This is how we productize our services, where I'm like talking and I'm drawing as I go. On the bottom here is another example of like the demonstration. That's also me kind of going through Zapier, my automation video that I just did. And then the top right, that's going to be the talking head, where it's just me showing my head while I'm talking. So hopefully that kind of gives you some clarity. For me personally, I only care about delivery. So I only care about these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways that I can deliver the content. Why do I only care about delivery? Because I am a business owner and I am not trying to get the most views possible. I'm trying to grow my business. And so I can't really be talking about 10,000 different topics. I don't have the, the ability, like maybe a content creator who could literally is just wants views, then they could go talk to homeless people on the street and whatever else it is. But that's not really going to help me attract my more ideal clients. So I need to decide before I start creating my content, this is the type of content you're going to create. It's going to be around lead generation, systemization, automation, marketing, branding, et cetera, et cetera. And once I've decided what that is, then the only thing I can do at that point is figure out what is the best way to deliver this content to these people. Because I'm not going to be, oh, well, they care a lot about my relationships. Let me do videos about my relationships, because that's not what I'm optimizing for, okay? So I only care about delivery, which is what I'm really going to show you when I'm breaking down this data here in a moment. Now that we know that, okay, we care about delivery, all right, so we kind of know our topics that we're going to be talking about, and then we only care about how we're delivering these topics. What do people like the most? Well, how do we know whether it's working or not working? Well, I've been marketing for years. I've spent millions of dollars on ads, and I would consider myself somewhat of an expert marketer. In marketing, there's really 2 types of metrics. There's what's called on-platform metrics, and these are things that you can see that have to do with the platform itself. So for YouTube, it could be stuff like views and subscribers, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's off-platform metrics, and these are things like if you run a business, how many people are showing up in your store? How many people are calling you? How many people are purchasing your products or services? That's not on the platform anymore. That's off the platform. And so the best kind of KPI system is going to combine both of those 2 things together. And you would like to see that if one number on the on platform increased, then one number on the off platform increased, right? So me personally, I'm not optimizing for views or subscribers. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you look at my comments, people always go, why do you only get 1,000 views or 1,500 views, right? You should be getting all these higher views. Except for the problem is that I'm talking about, how to build a hiring and recruiting pipeline there's only 7% of business owners, and the people that are hiring employees is probably less than 1% of them. So it makes sense that it's such a small segment versus if I was like, here's how to make your first $1,000 online, which is what every single person wants to figure out. So I'm not looking at those vanity metrics, on platform metrics like views and subscribers first, at least, because those things are giving me false positives. Those on-platform metrics would make me think that I'm doing great, except for I'm looking at the off-platform metrics and I can see if those things correlate or not. So up until, let's say, about, 14, 21 days ago, I was following this order of operations. So this is how I prioritize when I'm looking at the type of content that I'm creating. I'm trying to figure out, should I make more of this content? So the first is sales. Is this bringing in more sales for my business? The second is calls. Is this bringing in more qualified calls? The third is going to be leads. Is this bringing in more qualified leads? Now, these 3 things that I just walked through, these are off-platform metrics. There's no way YouTube's going to be able to tell me you're getting this many leads, calls, and sales, right? And so I use special data tracking software to be able to figure out what YouTube videos bring me certain leads, calls, and sales. That's how I told you the first source and last source on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. We help our clients do the same thing. That's a little bit out of the scope of this video, but the idea behind it being that because those are the things I always wanted, sales is all I care about. That's always the number one thing I'm optimizing for, not views. And then calls, then leads. So those are all off platform. And then on platform is going to be views, subscribers, subscriber ratio. So, okay, well, if these things are bringing me a lot of sales and calls and leads, what is also getting a lot of views and subscribers and a subscriber to view ratio? And just to let you know, a subscriber to view ratio is exactly that. I take the number of subscribers I have from a video and I divide it by the number of viewers I have the video. And that kind of lets me know how efficient is this video in letting and people subscribe to my channel. But I don't really care too much about subscribers, and I don't really care too much about subscriber to view ratio because those things aren't really correlated with leads, calls, and sales. And I only care about views in the sense that I wanted to figure out some kind of on-platform metric that lets me know, okay, we're on the right path by making these videos, right? But the problem with this is that they weren't always correlated. I talked about a little bit earlier. It'd be great if every time I got more views, well, that led to more sales, but that's not the case, right? And I'd always had this problem, which is why we implemented all this tracking. So I really just focus on the things that brought me sales. But then just a little bit ago, Alex Ramosi, if you guys haven't watched his content, he has some great content online. He talked about, his lessons from growing. I think he generated millions of followers and subscribers, et cetera, over the past few years. And he said, I was optimizing previously exactly what I was saying on here. He was optimizing for views and subscribers and a subscriber view ratio. But, and I'm just paraphrasing here, I think he said that he was doing more and more of that, but he noticed the leads, quality leads and applications and sales for his business started decreasing. And in full radical transparency, that's exactly actually what happened. I used to follow his content pretty regularly, and then he started posting stuff about diet and fitness and all this other stuff. And I mean, until I saw this video that he posted, I don't think I'd watch a video of his in 6 months to 12 months. I used to share it with my team, all this stuff, and I just stopped because it wasn't really relating to me. I'm not saying he did anything wrong or bad. He obviously has a bunch of subscribers and he's incredibly successful. I'm just saying that for me, and based on what he says and I know about him, I would say I'm probably his ideal client. I know that I stopped watching his videos because he was posting stuff that was way more about views and subscribers than it was about sales and calls, et cetera, et cetera. So he came out and he posted this and he said, what he learned was that on these on-platform metrics, they were optimized for leads and views and subscribers, but like I just said, it was difficult to figure out what actually led to calls and sales. And he actually said that the thing that he noticed there was a correlation for was RPM. And RPM stands for revenue per thousand or per milli, which is thousand. So this is YouTube's on-platform metric that essentially says this is how much a YouTube advertiser is willing to pay you to run ads on your videos. Because if somebody, let's say, is higher quality, they have more money, they're buyers, they make decisions quickly, all this data that YouTube and Google has on all of us, if they know that your video is attracting a lot of those people, well, then they're going to pay you more money because the advertisers are willing to pay more money for them. So all other things being equal, if people essentially are worth more to advertisers, they're probably worth more to you, right? So that was and I am giving him credit for this because I didn't think of this. That's a really great way to optimize for on-platform metrics is through RPM. So what I decided to do is I implemented that into our prioritization here. I did sales, calls, leads. So there's always, I could care less about on-platform metrics. I always want to optimize for off-platform metrics. But then now it did seem like there was some kind of correlation between an on-platform metric and the sales that I was getting, which is RPM, revenue per thousand. And so I added that into this data analysis here. And now we're starting to use that a little bit more to figure out what types of videos that I should be creating, as I'll cover here in the data. So without further ado, I know I've teased you a little bit here, but I kind of wanted to just set it all up so that you guys can understand it. Let's just take a look at the data, okay? So I'm going to break down how the columns in the first place, then I'm going to kind of walk through each of them. So the first column, column A here, is going to be the video title. So this is obviously the name of the video and the link to the video. Then there's going to be views. Now, what you'll notice about these views here is I did them in the first 24 hours. Now, the reason I did the first 24 hours is because in my experience, the first 24 hours kind of dictates how the rest of your video is going to perform overall. Now, there are edge cases of this. For example, if the algorithm picks it up or if you get thrown into the search results or something like that, then it can definitely boost it. But in reality, the first 24 hours is a great metric to look at because that's what YouTube's going to use to decide, should I show this to other people? So without getting too in the weeds, almost every single platform out there, when you post content, it first shows it to your core audience. And then if that core audience performs well, then it shows it to a little bit wider of an audience, then a wider of an audience, then a wider of an audience, and it bases your performance on that. So essentially, by looking at the first 24 hours, I'm able to create a timeline of like, okay, this is what I care about because this is going to determine how well the video is going to perform in general, right? So views in the first 24 hour, subscribers in the first 24 hours, RPM, so revenue per thousand, how much YouTube's paying me per these subscribers per 24 hours, that subscriber to view ratio, so how many subscribers do I have per view? So for example, 16 divided by 1700 is about 0.94% subscriber to view ratio. Video style, so I talked about this earlier, but you have the repurposed ones, Google Docs, slides, talking head, screen share, and demonstration, and then lead magnet or no lead magnet. So I'm going to talk about that at the very end, but a question I get all the time and I hear is like, do lead magnets hurt a video? Do they hurt? If you make a call to action in a video, does YouTube demonetize you, et cetera, et cetera? And then there's also leads, calls, and sales, but unfortunately that's going to take way longer for me to break that down, and I already have that data elsewhere. I've already spent quite a bit of time on this, so I just want to do this. I'll end up sharing the rest of this data likely with our scaling school members or with our clients. So that's the columns in the top, and then obviously I've broken down each video this way here. So you can see I've sorted this by the RPM at the very top because, like I said earlier, because I'm not showing you leads, calls, and sales, then the thing that we really care about on platform is going to be RPM and views and subscribers. So things that I can get a lot of a higher RPM for and a lot of views for, that's going to be what I optimize for, followed by subscriber view ratio. And so here's kind of some interesting stuff here. So let me kind of move my big old head here. Let's see if I can make myself a little smaller. Boop. Okay, there I went. So here's some interesting thing here. So if you compare video style, which remember, that's really what I'm looking at here. Which type of video works the best for the measures I'm looking for, because I'm just going to keep on creating the same content over and over again because it's bringing us a bunch of sales. But if I can optimize it a little bit better, then I will. So which video style between screen shares, demonstrations, Google Docs, slides, talking head, and repurposed? Well, it's interesting here. Screen shares, maybe I can actually zoom out 1 second here. There we go. So screen shares and demonstrations had one of the highest views in the first 24 hours. So I would consider this one's probably more of slides than screen share and demonstration, but that was really interesting to me. So like when I go in here and I'm diving in and I'm going through Zapier and I'm going through graphics or charts or whatever else it is, that does really well for views. Slides also does really well for views. Interesting enough to me was that Google Docs, which is where I've made a lot of videos in the past on, actually had one of the least, if not the least amount of views in the first 24 hours. And then repurpose and talking head. So you'll see a common theme here, and that is that talking head was one of the lowest across the board for everything on here, which is why you'll see what I'm going to change here in a little bit. So that was views. The second thing is going to be RPMs. So you can see that the slides had the highest RPM out of all of them here, followed by screen share, demonstrations, Google Docs, the talking head, and repurpose. And then, and I'm going to break this down in depth further. And then subscribers here, you can see that for subscribers, screen share and demonstration was number 1, and the slides was number 2, and then talking head, repurpose, Google Docs were after that. And this is kind of, this is broken down a little bit more data. So you can see, very interesting, but per video, the number of subscribers I got per 24 hours, screen share demonstrations popped off, slides popped off, repurpose did pretty well, a talking head not that amazing, and Google Docs, I was losing subscribers when people watch the Google Docs. How funny is that? So you can see -2, this is a talking head one right here, -1, that's a talking head one right there. So some of these I got negatives on. This is a repurposed one, -4, this one's -2. So it's kind of interesting that it was surprising to me that I was losing subscribers by doing these Google Doc videos. Once again, I don't care too much about that because I really care about what makes me the most money for my business. But it was interesting to see that, right? And then RPM, you can see here slides were number 1. You can see that screen share and demonstration was number 2. Google Docs were number 3. So RPM for Google Docs was actually high. And then talking head and repurpose were 4 and 5. And then the views, I kind of broke this down already on here, but screen share demonstration 1, slides 2, repurpose 3, Google Doc 4, and talking head 5. Okay. And then the subscriber view ratio, which could be helpful if you were trying to grow your channel, screen share demonstration demonstration is going to be 1, repurpose number 2, which was kind of surprising. That repurpose was people are actually subscribing after they watched the video that I had gone somewhere else and promoted, and then slides, talking head, and Google Docs. So it was subscribers. I was losing subscribers by doing Google Docs, which was really, really surprising when I broke down the data that way. Okay, so what does all this mean, right? What does all this data, it took me hours to put this all together. What does all of that mean for what I'm going to do for my channel in the future? Well, remember what we're optimizing for: sales, calls, leads, RPM, views, subscriber view ratio. Well, I had ChatGPT answer the question for all of us here. I gave it all the data, and then I asked it, let's analyze this stuff. So what I should be focusing on and what I will be focusing on in the future. Number 1, slides, where the RPM is the highest. On average, 17.91 for the RPM on slides. For the views, it also was the highest. First 24 hours was 1,100 views. Subscribers, it was pretty good too, so we're not going to take anything off for that. And subscriber to view ratio, 0.18, so not amazing, but remember, that's the last thing that I'm optimizing for, so I don't really care too much. Screen sharing demonstration, the RPM is 11.74, so significantly lower than the slides, but still higher than the other ones. Views, 995, so almost right in the line with the views of the slides. Subscribers first 24 hours actually was higher on the screen sharing demonstration. And then the subscriber ratio was 0.39, which was the highest. So you can see moving forward, I'm going to do a blend of slides and screen shares demonstrations, whiteboards, drawing, screen, all of that stuff, because obviously this is what is working well for what I'm trying to optimize for. The only caveat to all of this, I will say, is that the topics have to have a big impact on some of this stuff as well, like I talked about. But I've done a topic on, let's say, like marketing in every version that you could do. I've done like a whiteboard, I've done slides, I've done a talking head, so it kind of all evens out. Maintain, so it's actually interesting. If you'll notice on my YouTube channel, I stopped about 60 days ago posting repurposed clips because I had felt like they weren't really doing that good of a job. I didn't really look at the data. I just had a feeling that they weren't doing that good of a job because when I looked at the views, let's say 783 for this compared to 995 or 1100, then I thought it wasn't that good. But RPM is 850, so still pretty significantly lower than the other ones, but it's all kind of just moderate, right? It's 8.50 RPM, 783 views, 1.83 average subscribers, and 0.22 subscriber ratio. So it looks like it's not necessarily hurting me. It's not amazingly helping me, but I know that some of the sales that we're getting are coming from repurposed videos, and it doesn't take me any more time. That's the point. They're repurposed from other clips. So I'm probably going to slowly feed those back in as well. And then what I'm going to cut back on moving forward is going to be talking head videos where the RPM was the lowest, so $7.54. Views was 729, subscribers was 0.36, and subscriber ratio was 0.02. Just for context, 0.18. So the number one has 9 times higher subscriber ratio than the talking head. And the Google Docs, a little bit higher of an RPM than talking head, but lower views, loses subscribers, and has a subscriber like ratio that was negative. So, you know, if all else is equal, if when I look at the data for leads, calls, and sales, if slides and screen share demonstrations are bringing me at least as much as Google Docs are, that I'll probably do less Google Docs and more slides demonstrations because not only are they getting me the same calls, leads, and sales, but also they're helping me on platform metrics, which can help me reach more people, which obviously is what I want to do. And then the final question that I wanted to answer, because like I said, I get this all the time, should you make calls to action? So what is a call to action? That's like in some of my videos, I say, get access to this document. If you want to get access to this sheet, this thing here, go down below and you can enter your information and get it here. I've heard so many people say that YouTube hates that. They don't want to take you off platform. You should never do it. But once again, I am a business owner. I'm looking for things that bring me leads and calls and sales. And I was really interested to see that for views, in the first 24 hours, videos that had lead magnets had a slightly lower view rate than videos that had lead magnets, but it had a lower views by 30 to 53. So what is that? 30, 40, 20 views on average. That's so negligible. It's not even funny. And so I would say that it doesn't really matter. Subscribers, both with and without lead magnets, videos gain a similar number of subscribers, so it doesn't hurt subscribers. So we know calls to action don't hurt views, they don't hurt subscribers. RPM, videos without lead magnets have a higher average RPM, 1039, compared to those with lead magnets, 982. But once again, within 50 cents of each other, so I wouldn't consider that a serious number as well, statistically significant. And subscriber ratio, videos without lead magnets have a slightly higher subscriber to view ratio, 0.20, compared to those with lead magnets, 0.18. So ultimately, the difference between all these things is like 1%. So if you can get in a video, you can make a call to action and say, hey, book a call, speak with us, get this lead magnet, et cetera, et cetera. You should do it, because apparently it doesn't hurt on platform metrics. And how the heck else do you expect people to actually book calls and to be speaking with you? And that being said, if you want us to work with you to build out exactly what I've talked about here, to help you create that brand strategy, those content pillars, to help you give our media system, to help you drive traffic to those YouTube videos, create sales letters and run ads, and optimize your sales process so that you can grow your business using platforms like YouTube, plus other platforms as well, that's exactly what we do at Scaling with Systems. So you can go down below, click the button where it says you can apply to work with us here. You can scan this QR code if you're watching this somewhere else, and I'll see you guys in the next video.